Hārītī is both a revered goddess and demon, depending on which Buddhist tradition you look at. She is also one of the 24 protective deities of Mahayana Buddhism. In her positive aspects, she is regarded as the protectoress of children, and she can ensure an easy delivery and happy child rearing. However, her negative aspects include her terror towards irresponsible parents and unruly children. The earliest images of the Buddhist goddess are from the Gandharan period in modern-day Afghanistan and Pakistan. This statue was found in Yusufzai in northwest Pakistan and is now in the British Museum. It is dated to the 2nd and 3rd century of the Common Era. The tale of Hārītī is one of transformation, as she turns from a devourer of infants into a bestower and protector of children and benefactor of humans. One story tells of Hariti having made a vow in a former life to prey on the children of Rajagra, an ancient city in Bihar, India. When she told her brother of this vow, he quickly arranged for her to be married and to move away from her native land. Here, she is depicted with her husband, Panchika, with whom she had 500 children. This relief is also from the Gandharan period and is in the Peshawar Museum in Pakistan. Eventually, the force of Hārītī's vow in a previous life could no longer be denied, and Hariti descended on Rajagra with her progeny and terrorized the populace by abducting and consuming infants and children. The townspeople ultimately learned that it was a yaksa stealing their children, and they turned to the Buddha for protection. Moved by the plight of the people, the Buddha stole Hārītī's youngest son and hid him under his alms bowl. Through magic, he managed to make the boy invisible. Hariti searched across the world for her child, consumed by pain and grief. A leader of the yaksha advised her to seek the Buddha's help. The Buddha in turn urged her to recognize that if the loss of one child among 500 left her so heartbroken, how much greater must be the suffering of those whose only child she had taken. Hariti readily empathized with the parents whose babies she had stolen and promised to stop hurting them. In turn, Shakyamuni returned her child, and Hariti accepted the Buddha as her spiritual guide. She agreed to follow his teachings and took the 5 lay precepts, one of which is to abstain from taking life. The yaksha was worried about how she and her children would find nourishment if they abandoned their flesh diet. But the Buddha promised that she and her offspring would be fed in all his monasteries. He pledged that whenever his disciples sat down for a meal, a plate for Hariti would be included at the end of the row. She and her children would be invoked, and sufficient food would be provided that they would never be hungry. Images of Hariti were enshrined on monastic premises, placing her cult at the center of Buddhist institutional life. The reverence for Hariti gave impetus to an impressive corpus of artistic images spanning from the 2nd through to the 11th centuries. This image is from Saribalol in Pakistan and is dated to the 1st and 3rd centuries of the Common Era. This example of Hariti with her husband Panchika is from Cave 7 in the Aurangabad Caves in Maharashtra in western India. This relief is dated to the mid-6th century of the Common Era. Works of art depicting the goddess provide a fuller portrait of her character and role in Buddhist devotional life than do literary sources. Although Hariti is classed as a yaksha, her artistic representations were not based on the yaksha figural type as we saw in the earlier images. In early Buddhist art, yakshas were almost invariably depicted in a standing posture, sensuously posed and scantily clad, generally canopied by a tree or lotus parasol. Hārītī, however, is a stately figure, a mature matron rather than a nubile maiden, radiating an air of majesty. Her iconographic emblem is the children that sport at her feet and rest on her lap and shoulders. One of the more well-known images of Hārītī can be found at Candi Mendut in central Java, Indonesia. She is depicted on the outside of the temple with her many children. It dates the late 8th century to the early 9th century of the Common Era. Another Buddhist narrative tells of how in a city in the human realm, a helpless yaksha infant was hungry and crying. None of the humans were willing to get him any help due to his brutal appearance. The innocent prayed to the Mother Dharma. Mother Dharma looked at him with infinite compassion and mercy. From that compassion, Hariti was born. She came to the earth realm and breastfed the hungry demon infant. When he was satisfied and stopped crying, she went to the realm of the yaksha and gave the child to his guardians. The king of the yakshas was so impressed by Hārītī that he proposed to her, and thus she could become the mother of all yakshas. She agreed with the permission of Mother Dharma.